One of the most beautiful places in our fantastic country this time of the year is all those Rhode Island, Nantucket, Northeast hamlets. I'm not going to tell you which one Albert Breer is at, but he is dressed appropriately and joining us live. Look at that. I am tried never to be jealous, but he is 5 minutes away from a craft beer. So I can just tell that is the way to live. There's probably a crab feast tonight somewhere in his future. So I'll make this quick. I'll make this quick for you. First of all, McDermott signs an extension. My takeaway is they did it before camp to empower him with all the Stephon Diggs stuff because they can't bail on him or the dead cap money. I was surprised by the move. Were you?
Not really. I mean, I think you have to look at where the Bills were before Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane got there in 2017 and what a train wreck it was. 18 years without a playoff appearance. And, yeah, they've gone through some turmoil over the course of the last year. And, Colin, but if you look at it, like, they survived a lot, too. They were displaced twice by snowstorms. They went through all the stuff locally with the shooting at the supermarket. They went through the DeMar Hamlin thing. They went through injuries from a football standpoint, Von Miller, Josh Allen. And they still made it to the divisional round of the playoffs. That was just a team that was emotionally spent at the end. So I think that's one piece of this. If you're looking at them globally, they've come so far. And then I think with Diggs, it's sort of what you signed up for. Yeah. You know, and if you look at the history of this with receivers, Colin, right? Usually someone else's problems that you inherit become your problems. It happened with Moss over and over again.
Yeah.
It happened with Terrell Owens over and over again. And so I don't think that the Bills are caught off guard that this would eventually happen with Stephon Diggs. I think now it's a matter of how manageable is it and for how long is it manageable. But I think, you know, the relationships they have in that building with Stephon Diggs, primarily with the quarterback, should at least get them a little ways and helping them carry them through and put them on a track where they are right now, which is right in the middle of a Super Bowl window.
In the last 72 hours, I'm not going to say if he's a current or a former Packer, but it's somebody who knows it well. When asked about Jordan Love, he said, 3 years, I haven't seen wow. Doesn't mean he's bad, but we were hearing about Mahomes, 2 weeks into camp. I went and looked up Burrow's headlines, first week of camp. I got 4 years of nothing except temper your expectations. Do you think what are you hearing on Jordan Love? I mean, you can't find a piece of video, intense piece of practice video on him. If they wanted it out, it would be out.
Right. And I think like part of this is like the expectation in Green Bay is it's the next Favre, Rodgers or bust, right? When maybe he doesn't really need to be that. And I think they want to temper expectations. And if you remember, go back, like look in 2008 when Aaron Rodgers became the quarterback, they drafted not one but two quarterbacks that year. They drafted Brian Brom and Matt Flynn in the 2nd and 6th rounds. And so they've been down this road before. A lot of those people that are in the building now, Mark Murphy, Brian Gutekunst, were there in 2008. And I think a big part of this is managing expectations. And I would actually tell you that, with the running game that they built, with the defense that they've built, they've actually created an ideal situation for a young quarterback. There's still a lot of talent in that roster. The young receivers can come along. And so much of this, to me, Colin, is going to boil down to whether or not the guys who are coming back off of injuries or have had trouble staying healthy are going to make it. Is David Bakhtiari at left tackle, Elton Jenkins at guard. Those two guys are going to be really important to Jordan Love. And then the defense, Rashawn Gary, who was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate before he got hurt last year. I think that's what this is going to be more about than anything else. They can't ask Jordan Love to carry the team. They weren't asking Aaron Rodgers to carry the team in 2008. They're hoping he grows into something. And I can just tell you, like a year ago, 2 years ago, like they were worried about Jordan Love. Part of the reason they did this, they moved on from Aaron Rodgers when they did, is because they aren't as worried about Jordan Love anymore. That doesn't mean they think he can carry the team, but they think at the very least he can be a good bus driver, and now it's about having all those pieces around him right.
Yeah, they got 2 tight ends, 2 receivers in the back in the draft, so they have brought some young talent on the offensive side. What are you hearing about the Jets? It sounds like nobody in the league wants hard knocks. Like nobody. It used to be teams fought over it. Rex Ryan loved it. What are you hearing about the Jets and hard knocks?
Well, I think there's something global here too, Colin. I mean, if you look at it, like teams are doing so much from an in-house perspective, right? Like look at all the draft shows the teams have. Teams do great jobs with this. Like and you see like the demands they're putting on their coaches and players over the course of the season through the offseason, that those guys are already stretched thin. I think the other thing is, it used to be that this could be like a nice benefit for your players, but there are so many different ways now for players to get their names out there that maybe they don't need Hard Knocks to introduce themselves to the world quite like they did 10 or 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I think those are factors with teams saying no, like that there not being any teams that really want to do this. The Jets are going to be interesting because I think, the fact that they're in New York, the fact that they've done it before, the fact that Aaron Rodgers is there, those are all reasons why the NFL would want to do it. I got the sense talking to those guys, they're just not interested in it because there's already so much extra that they're going to be dealing with. Like everything that's going to come along with Aaron Rodgers, the spotlight that's going to be on them during training camp. I think they feel like they already have, they've already sort of reached capacity as far as how much extra they're going to have built into their summer, and they don't want to add more.
Finally, I forget your feeling on Sam Darnold, but, there apparently no trade market at all for Trey Lance. Where are we at?
Yeah.
Is he number 3 now in that depth chart?
I think if Brock Purdy were unable to take the first snap of training camp, and that's certainly a possibility, he's on a track to play week 1, but they're still building the strength in his arm back up. I think Sam Darnold might take the first snap of training camp. Now, it doesn't mean Trey Lance can't come back and work his way forward, but I think that they feel like they've already given this guy a lot of chances.
Yeah.
And like, here's the thing about it, Colin, right? Like the kid needs to play. And this is sort of the conundrum they're in. He just hasn't played a lot of football, period, since high school. He played 1 full year in college. The COVID year basically canceled his 3rd year in college, right? He's redshirted as a freshman. And then he goes into the pros and he's redshirted his rookie year. So we're talking about now like a 5-year period, if you include last year when he was hurt, where he's only really played 1 full season of football. So he needs to see snaps. So the ideal thing would be to just throw him out there and live with his mistakes. But that's what the Niners were going to do last year. And that sort of ship has sailed. They know how good they are. They know the window they're in. They know they've got one of the most talented rosters in football. And so at this point, they don't really feel like they can throw a season overboard in the name of Trey Lance's development. And especially if you're talking about, well, we may only need him for 4 or 5 weeks till Brock Purdy gets back. Now you're talking about something different. You're not talking about developing the best quarterback for the playoffs. You're talking about the guy who can keep you best afloat for a month, right? That'd probably be Sam Darnold over Trey Lance at this point, right? Even if Lance has the higher ceiling. So I think a lot of different things are going into this. And it makes it much different than last year when the idea was we're going to sink or swim with him. We're going to ride out his bumps in September and October with the hope that we get a better quarterback than we had by the time we get to January.
Albert Breer summering in the Northeast. Good seeing you.
You miss it, Colin?
Yeah, yes, I do. I try not to be jealous, but that is a wonderful place.
Well, you guys,
yeah,
you definitely got us in the winter. That's for sure.
Not this winter in LA, by the way. Not this one. Good seeing you, bud. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.